Welcome to Hear Him, the show that takes you on a journey through the timeless and sacred songs of our faith. In every episode, we'll explore the stories, inspirations, and meanings behind the hymns you love, and those you have yet to discover from the church's new hymn book.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. As the music would indicate, it is in fact a Hear Him episode. I recognize that a lot of times I don't introduce myself. My name is Richie Stedman. Hi, I host these things, and I have lots
Maybe
of
I should
amazing
introduce
friends.
Here's Richie.
Ta-da!
I'm really good at this.
Yeah, you nailed it. I have lots of amazing friends. One of those friends, his name is Andrew W. Mayer. I'm not actually sure that W is what his middle initial is.
It's J. It's
Andrew J. Mayer is what it is. AJ, my old pal AJ. Mr. Mayer is what we call him here in the Cultural Hall. He's a music nerd. He's also an author. As you know, I don't want to throw shade, Mr. Mayer, but with the internet, everyone can be an author. But you're a good author. That's the difference that I want to make.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. He does Christmas books and he does blogs, and you can read more about all of these hymns at theculturalhall.com, as there are accompanying blog posts, and you can also, do the deep dive with us, as we will here in your ears, as we talk about all of the new hymns that will be joining the new almost 500. That was surprising to me when I remembered that. Almost 500 that will become in print at some point at the end of 2026. So we're going to have a lot of these episodes.
So I've noticed something about that this week. They said 500 by 2030, but the print version will be out 2026. Does that mean I'm guessing there's going to be some that are online and some that never make it in print? So yeah, it'll be interesting how that rolls out.
Or maybe they're just bumping it up. They're like, listen, 2030, nope, let's do it by 2026.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how many get in the actual print and maybe which ones are available. I mean, 500 is a lot to print.
Sure.
That's a big hymn book.
I mean,
they're going to have to go in and make the little holders thicker.
Oh, what an interesting thing that I had not even considered.
Yeah.
You have to have considered that.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, eventually 500, I mean, that's double well, it's probably not double. It's probably adding
342 is what it is now. So you do another 150 pages. It's not going to fit. That's all I know.
Yeah. My expectation is a lot of the ones that are in the hymn book now will be there, but some that aren't. We'll talk about that in a future episode, which ones maybe shouldn't be in there. But yep.
The spotlight.
We talked a little bit about like patriotic ones. Those are a no-brainer.
Yeah, probably gone.
Yeah. Probably a lot more. We can I'd love to get more people in input. Some people think, as we've said already, Praise to the Man might be on the chopping block. Maybe there's others.
We'll see.
Let us know.
Couple more months until we get some new ones, but we're still dealing our way through the first batch. If you have not listened to the other Hear Him episodes, be sure you go back. This is the hymn overview for hymn number 1005. His eye is on the sparrow.
Have you started seeing in your church yet the 4 digits up on the screen? Well, it'd be interesting to see as we.
So church today was a temple dedication. So I don't know. I know that some people talked about that there was Gethsemane appearance in their sacrament meetings. You're probably not going to get the what's the one set to Greensleeves? Why can't I think of it right now?
What child is this?
You're probably not going to get What Child Is This in the summertime.
Well, you could, but it's probably going to be December before I see that one.
If it were me, I'd do it. If I were the chorister, I would 100% What Child Is This in July and get that on the block.
If it was me, I would be doing one a week.
I would do all of them. And if I'm being quite honest, if I and this is why I'm not, by the way, and we digress. We are going to talk about His Eye is on the Sparrow. But if it were me, you know what my 5th Sunday would be?
What's that?
listening to the 13 songs that were added to the hymn book and talking about the importance of them and the significance of them and how we're going to incorporate about them and how we can be better singers in the church. Not better like we need to be. God doesn't care if you're like, oh, I'm on pitch or no, I'm a little bit flat. Like God doesn't care about that, but
participating singers. Yeah.
Music into our worship. I think that would 100% be a fifth Sunday that I and others should do. I digress. His eye is on that one.
This is a beautiful. His eye is on the sparrow is a wonderful addition to that, and in my opinion, should encourage lots of people to sing it. It is a broadly well-known Christian hymn going back for quite a while, written in 1905. The scripture, and I'm going to get this one right this time, that accompanies this is Matthew 10, verse 29 through 31. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father, but the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So that is the scripture behind this. This actually grew out of a story. So the historical context of this is that it was composed in 1905 by Charles H. Gabriel and Civilla D. Martin. And Dr. Martin, she was obviously a PhD or a doctor in something, and her husband were staying in Elmira, New York in the spring of 1905. During their stay, they developed a deep friendship with a couple named Mr. and Mrs. Doolittle, and this couple had, the wife had been bedridden for nearly 20 years, and the husband was an incurable cripple who had to use a wheelchair to get to and from his business every day. And despite their afflictions, as they got to know them, they started asking them about why they had such good outlooks on their life and they lived such good Christian lives. And the wife said, in remark to the question, his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. And that concept inspired Dr. Martin so much. She went and began writing this and worked with Charles H. Gabriel to complete the song. And that is the idea that no matter what our station in life, every person, every animal, every sparrow, everything is watched over by our Heavenly Father. And that's the idea of this hymn. And it is a very popular hymn.
I was just going to say this by far of the all of the hymns, maybe next to What Child Is This? Because maybe What Child Is This is a little bit more popular. But like reaching across the religious pews, all of the things. His eye is on the sparrow. This is one where, members of most any Christian church can come and visit us in our pews and go, oh, hey, I know this one. I like this one. This one is familiar to me. And the message is not missed. It's not like it's a great song that's, some sort of tangential doctrine. It is God knows everyone, loves everyone, knows every bit of you. And I just think this is such none of this is tactical necessarily, but if it were, this is the greatest tactical move that the church has done as far as the new hymnal goes.
Well, it also is very popular within the Black communities, Black churches. So this, like, if you search online, some of the best versions of this are in Black churches across the South, and the YouTube videos that you can find of them performing this. There's been lots of different celebrities who've done it, and one most notably, many people will know it from Sister Act 2 with Lauryn Hill singing this song, and it is just a gorgeous hymn. So regardless of your style and preference of music, you can find a version of this to match your style. Everything from the whitest white of us singing this song in a very classic hymn-based choral arrangement, all the way to Jennifer Hudson on her talk show on Halloween last year singing this. And I thought that one was one of my favorites as well. So this has just such a broad, following that it'll automatically be well thought of if it isn't already. If you didn't know this song, You really should know it. And if you weren't paying attention to General Conference, one of the most beautiful, still, it's very much stylistically towards the Tabernacle Choir, but their version of it in the most recent most recent General Conference is one of the most beautiful out there. So go ahead and go out and listen to that.
Yeah, to me, this is one that I'm looking forward to not only being able to sing it as a congregation, but because there are some that are like, we need to make sure that the songs that are sung during our church meetings are from the hymnal or from church approved sources. This is one that I'm excited to have those that are artistically inclined within our congregations be able to take a little bit of latitude with. Like, I'm looking forward to the various incarnations of what they can do with not only the melody of this, but also take the lyrics and be able to put it into a different sort of setting. It feels different, and I love the difference that it feels.
Well, I think this also lends itself to our church choirs because, some people, if you're a really professional musician and you have that caliber, you may come to church and think a church choir is not the greatest choir, in the world. And that's never what it's been intended to be. I think the church choir is one of the best things we do. And it's not necessarily because they're the most amazing musical groups in the world, but it's because you're getting a lot of people bearing their testimony through music together. And I found that I've had more spiritual experiences with choirs that are struggling and are bearing their testimony than even with the Tabernacle Choir. And everyone knows how much I love the Tabernacle Choir. But sometimes that can be that. And this song lends itself to that. This song is one of those that it can lend itself to the testimony bearing from a choir that's struggling with one tenor, an alto, 5 sopranos, and 3 basses that two of them were dragged in that morning to sing. And that's often what a choir is, right? But it also falls in, we've talked about the hymn selection criteria, and it hits all of them. It hits the increased faith button. It hits the teach core doctrine button. It hits the invite joyful singing at home and church, the unifying Latter-day Saints throughout the world, but particularly comfort the weary, inspire people to endure in faith. You probably could put that on the top for this one, because that's what it was written for. And that's the beauty of this hymn.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. You didn't know I was going to do this, and I'm hoping that you can not be diplomatic. You can just tell me instead of hemming and hawing as I ask the question and then you give an answer. A lot of great versions of it. What is your favorite version? You get to pick one, and that's the only one you get to listen to of this song anymore. Who's your
probably because I discovered it and looking for this is the Jennifer Hudson one.
Really?
She did it on her show. I found it on YouTube yesterday, and I've listened to it 7 times since, and I can't get enough of it. Yes. And that's the Sister Act one. That's with the Sister Act, but it's just Jennifer Hudson. She's a guy playing the piano. She just sits next to him and just sings it, and it's like you're sitting next to her and she's singing it directly to you. It just warmed my heart. It's beautiful. So if you haven't seen that, I didn't even include that in the show notes. I should have. So I'll grab it.
It'll be there by the time that people hear this. I have not yet listened to the Whitney Houston version, but I find that I favor Whitney Houston's voice, so I'm going to check that one out.
It is definitely a good one.
But as you indicated, I have listened since the announcement has been made at least a couple dozen times just because I like it. It seems calming to me. The Lauryn Hill version from Sister Act 2. I'm just like, the older that I have gotten, and I never understood this with my parents, and I never understood this with my grandparents, but and maybe your family did this too. The religious music on in the house on Sunday morning. Did your family do that?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is horrible, Mom. I hate what more dad than mom, but whatever, doesn't matter. But I was like, I have started to get to where I just go, oh no, this sets the tone. This is the feeling. This is all the things. And that to me, that's where I would push people to.
That is such a parent's job. My mom did that. Christmas and Sundays, she set the tone by the music she would play, by the things she would do, and she would set that tone throughout the house. And yes, I would do the same thing. I'd complain about it and say it's bad. But the things that stick with me from my childhood almost the most are those things.
Yeah.
Those have not just set the tone for Sundays when I was a kid and Christmases, but my life.
Yeah.
And so good on my mom for doing the right thing and making us focus by playing the correct music on Sundays.
Good on moms and dads. Set the tone and be leaders and all the things. His eye is on the sparrow. It's him number. And I wonder if these numbers are going to change. I bet they are. I would think they would have to. I don't think that maybe it will be electronically this way, but we're not going to get a hymn book where it's hymn number 1005. I don't think. I can't.
No idea, but I agree with you. I think that something's going to change in that regard. They're going to probably just, once they get it printed, it'll all adjust.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Maybe it's like the Dewey Decimal System, though. Maybe you'll have 1005 and they won't like max out those numbers. You'll just have the 1000s mean one thing. The one thing they did note was the Christmas songs are 1200 and above. So those Christmas songs, maybe there are going to be other Dewey Decimal like things going on. I don't know.
Whenever you say the Dewey Decimal, and this is not the great way to end
no one on there. This is all just Jet X and before.
But to me, whenever I hear Dewey Decimal System, I always think of UHF, the movie with Weird Al, and it's Conan, the librarian, and someone comes up and asks him, where can he find a book on whatever? And
don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?
And chops the guy's head off or splits him in half or something like that. So thank you for taking me there at the end of this otherwise spiritually uplifting.
End this with Conan the Librarian, Weird Al Yankovic, and a violent image as we talk about his eye is on the sparrow.
Way to do it. We hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
And if you're not healthy enough to listen this week, you'll be healthy enough to listen next week.
And then when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Rick McGee, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U, we will be saving a seat for you
on the back row of
the Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat.